headphones on.
I just don't want that to die. Let me do a thing here.
Okay. Do you have music that you can play while I grab my glass speaker?
I can play royalty-free music.
Okay,
So
yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
get
Oh,
dropped.
right. I forgot about that.
You
Is my
wanna?
camera still on?
Let me see. What's up, YouTube? What the deal? So we're gonna play. Yo, test. There you go. That's royalty free. It shouldn't get cut off.
Okay,
The
good.
mics will be fine on it. One.
What the hell?
Well, that's not royalty free music. I don't know what that is.
Alright, there we go.
2 minutes. It's only 2 minutes. Oh, here you go. It's a whole playlist.
There we go.
Let's go. Let me see levels real quick too. It doesn't come up.
Hey, YouTube. I almost forgot we were on live. Hey, y'all.
I can't join because I'm playing the royalty free, but it's all good.
Oh, okay.
And in the future, just so you know, you can patch the sound into that. So that means that the sound will be there.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah, there's a lot of options.
That's dope.
So, what we got?
All right, so we're continuing with our interview. For those of you who are just joining, I'm Bonnie. We got Hector here. Today we are talking about entrepreneurship and just how to deal with it, man. It's not easy. Working for yourself is not easy. Grinding day in and day out, staying up late hours is not easy.
The time now.
It's not easy. Entrepreneurship is not a consistent paycheck. It doesn't come with benefits. It's a crazy world. So today we're getting into entrepreneurship and we got Hector here.
We're in it to win it.
All right, so Hector.
What's good?
Can you talk about the first stages in your life where you felt like you wanted to be an entrepreneurship? Because I'm sure everyone has sort of this moment where they feel like this is a pivoting point in my life where I definitely feel like I can do this entrepreneurship stuff. And even if, you sort of feel like there are ways to progress, how did that spark even get inside your brain to say, listen, now I want to try to start doing things for myself?
That's a mouthful. I've always wanted a little extra, right? So even having, I guess, teen or having a little teen job, I wanted a little more, right? So it's when you're talking about entrepreneurship, it has to start with like a side hustle. This became, we're in the studio, shameless plug, Bronx Tale Studio on this side, Bronx Photo on the other side. This is probably my 5th brick and mortar space, and I look at these spaces as separate spaces. That's its own world. This is its own world. Prior to that, I had 3 martial arts schools, so they weren't successful. I had like landlord issues. I had to move, do it again, and then move and do it again, right? So the idea of entrepreneurship, and I try to say this as often as possible. It's risk. It's not business. It's taking on a lot of money risk, sweat equity risk. We talked a little bit about earlier on TikTok. Talked about balance. There is not a lot of balance. You have to manage that balance. Using your words, you said manage it. You have to manage it, and it's really difficult. I was quoting not Ice Cube, not the Cube. Which other Cube? Yeah, Ice Cube, not Ice Cube. Ice Cube. And it's like, they use his voice on Reels. And he's like, if you're not willing to put 5 years and I make a quarter.
Let's talk about that.
That's what it takes.
Right.
And anybody that has, you can always see the paper trail. You can see what they were doing prior, whether it's an artist, any creative space, medium, right? When we say artist, we always think about music artists. But any performing art, any time that you're using your hands to create something, whether you're writing, whether you're singing, etc., we don't look at the breadcrumbs that are left. Like, there's lots of receipts.
Yeah.
When you see the receipts, you're like, okay, yeah, they've been really grinding. And when you start and you have those conversations, when you hear them on the podcast, when did you get your first check? I didn't get my first check till 8 years in. 8 years in, right? Just backtracking just a little bit.
Right.
Consider anything the way you would consider an education at a high level, post-grad level. So you got 6 years elementary school, then you got intermediate school, then you got high school, then you got your associates, then you got your bachelor's, then you got your master's, then you got your PhD. That's a lot of educational years. We don't look at it the same way.
With entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Right? So you have that. Also, when you're doing sports,
True.
when you're doing sports, what do you see? Oh, this guy's been doing. Case in point, 2016, Kayla Harrison. Shout out to judo woman that won the first gold for men's for U.S. history. First gold by a woman. They asked her. They were interviewing. They were like, Kayla, how long was this preparation for these? For this moment right here.
Right.
She's like, 20 years. She started judo at 6 years old.
You heard
she
that?
won at 26. No. But
that.
this tournament here, to get to the Olympics, this last 4 years,
right.
she's like 20 years.
Right.
Like don't.
For me to do that in a couple minutes.
Yeah, and it's a grueling. Any Olympic, there's no using athletics.
Can't make this up. Give me 1 second.
You're looking at entrepreneurship, and you discount the amount of time in your craft, time in the craft over years and over no, not today, Bonnie, no, and then you get a little bit of a breakthrough, and then you're like, oh, this is traction. Then you're like, oh wait, I can do this. Like, I look at the videos for this. Bonnie's seen it today for the first time, but I've been grinding for 3 months doing this.
Yeah.
So, lighting, cameras, microphones, understanding, going to YouTube, learning. Where's the support structure?
Yeah.
So a lot of that is there's no balance. It's management.
So you mentioned the word no. And I want to talk about that because no like I said earlier, is a complete sentence. And you're going to hear a lot of no's on the way up, definitely. But I also want to talk about how many times you personally had to say no to certain things to get to where you are now. Because I know part of the journey is, a lot of people think that the journey is pretty much just like yeses. There's a whole lot of, even when you do get that door open and people want to give you a certain amount of money or you get this certain amount of opportunity, sometimes you can still turn it down because it's not aligned with your values or it doesn't it doesn't fit your time to where you say, hey, I gotta make my kids game or something like that, and it's another opportunity. So can you speak about those no's that you've had to say throughout your life?
Yeah, I mean, 1,000%. I went to I was at the Bitcoin conference last year, April 2022, right? Was that last year? Last year,
It's
right?
been a long year,
It's been a
y'all.
long year. So there was a guy we met on the plane, and we were talking after, Jewish dude, several businesses, and he talked about temple. We just talked about a little about religion, right? He talked about, I'm not doing anything on Sunday. That's my son's day. So he left the conference early. We also left early because we had jobs and 9 to 5s. He left the conference early to say, these are my unnegotiables. I'm not working Sundays.
Yes,
Sundays, I have to get home Sundays to do my job.
you gotta have those.
So when you're an entrepreneur, you're grinding and you're leaving everything, as they say in martial arts or boxing, leave it in the ring. Don't leave it to the judges, right?
Did y'all hear that? Leave it in the ring.
So if you give it all and you empty out, in order to get recharged, you have to have no's.
Yeah.
I had a no today, long day, 9 to 5. Went to 2 photo stores, one to pick up a camera, one to pick up paper. Went to my mother's. My mom's not doing well with her knee. She's 70 plus. Hung out at her house, did my 9 to 5. Took 2 calls. Went down to 42nd at 8 o'clock, 8:30, because one of my models that I helped out with back in the day, he was on a billboard, right? He was on a billboard, Express Men billboard. Then I have to come here. Saw you, wanted to give you some energy. I have to put the paper up, and I have to be at my son's school at 9 a.m. We're gonna do a college walkthrough. That's 24 hours right there.
Wow.
So the no's were, I can't game, can't Netflix, I can't drink tonight, I'm not smoking tonight.
Oh.
I may not eat
Yeah.
a full meal tonight,
Okay.
right? So I'm not even getting to eat.
So it's the little no's throughout the whole day. So is it the little no's that sort of gets you to those yeses?
A lot of little no's. And for some people, like if you're into fitness, that's a lot of no's. That life is not
Definitely.
for everybody. That life, anybody knows what that life is. The life is, okay, do 10 of these, 15 of these, 35 of these, and then say no to all of these wonderful foods.
Yep.
Right? So, and it's the same thing in relationships.
Yep.
Like, do you guys want to just hang out? Do you want to just do the dirty? Or you want to build? So there has to be levels of no's that you're like, oh, we're not doing that today. We're going to do this. We're going to do, tell me about this art show. Tell me about this thing that you want to go do. You want to go to makeup seminar. You want to go, Sephora's doing something. I want to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't say no to those other things that are keeping you away, you're never going to build. So there are hundreds of no's. Some of them are daily no's. Some of them are weekly no's. Some of them, you know, talked earlier about Fridays.
Yeah.
I've done hundreds of Fridays hanging out.
Yeah.
Hundreds. 300s, right? I used to party for 3 years straight, almost every Friday and Saturday, for almost 3 years straight, in my 20s. It was just, that's what we were doing. Again, and again, and again, and again, and again. So that's 150, doing the math, that's 300 Fridays. I'm, put Saturday in it too, right? It's 300 in a 3-year period. It's a lot.
Wow, that is a lot.
It's a lot. So I hope I answered that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So we talked about no's. We talked about balance. It's really hard to find balance in entrepreneurship. And also, I think that saying no comes with boundaries, and having boundaries is part of understanding yourself.
I mean, that's it. Oh, no, I'm listening. Yes, understanding yourself.
So like I said earlier, knowing yourself is one of the most important things. Knowing what triggers you, knowing what makes you happy, knowing your skills, knowing your weaknesses. This is the type of information that's so important, because once you know these things, you're able to then apply yourself in the right environments to where you can thrive. And also, you're able to connect with the same amount, like the same people that are also aligned with what you're aligned with. And I feel like when we don't know ourselves, then that sort of just, it gets sort of like messed up.
I'm gonna, yeah, let me add this before I forget. I said this earlier, and I was talking to a friend about this earlier. Somebody I'm doing business with, I consider them a friend.
Mhm.
Stay away from the cheap dopamine wins.
Mm,
So those little ones that jolt
yes.
you, they're gonna create
Yeah.
bad habits.
Yeah.
And some people use the Pomodoro way of working. You go crazy for 20 minutes and you stop.
Mm,
You can reward yourself,
yeah.
but you gotta stay away from the cheap wins. And those cheap wins is this guy sometimes when you're just going
Yeah.
through. You're filling yourself
Yeah.
with those cheap wins.
Yeah.
And then now I'm looking at this and I was telling you earlier I don't feel it yet. I'm looking, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is some shit right here.
It-
Right? Like I look and I'm like, all right, it's working. I just built up the studio. I haven't done my own podcast. You beat me to it. I haven't. We're recording up top. I don't know if you want to show them that. But there's certain
Oh
things
yeah,
that it's
I'll
like
show you guys in a second.
there's certain things that it's like, wait a second, we can't just jump at
Okay.
those free
See.
wins, right? You can't just jump at the freebies.
Yeah.
You can't jump at the freebies, and that's part of what you said earlier, what you asked earlier about the no's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think that's some real solid